Hello, and welcome back. I'm Richard Hasnot, and I'm your host for the Wisdom Inspired Life podcast and this Wisdom Inspired Life YouTube channel. Great to have you here. Well, today I'm pleased to share with you another in my Words of Wisdom series about caring and compassion and understanding and love and empathy. And this shares wisdom from various books. In this case, it's going to be a video that have been most helpful to me in my efforts to live a wisdom-inspired life. In this particular episode, I'm going to be sharing with you a video on the topic of compassion, done largely from the perspective of the Bible, but done very, very well. So let's look at the video, and I'll be back with you at the end.
If you tried to describe what God is like, it could be difficult or daunting. But when the people who wrote the Bible pondered the mystery of God, they consistently described God's character in this way: compassionate and gracious, slow to anger, overflowing with loyal love and faithfulness. The very first word used in this description of God is compassionate, or in Hebrew, rachum. This word also appears as a noun, rachamim, or compassion. And what's fascinating is that both of these words are related to the Hebrew word for womb, rechem. So compassion in the Hebrew Bible is centered on a person's core, and the word invites us to imagine a mother's tender feelings for her vulnerable infant. So rahum is a word that conveys intense emotion. Sometimes it's even translated as deeply moved, like in the story of King Solomon, who meets two women who've just given birth. One of their babies sadly dies, but then both women claim that the baby still living is theirs. As a test, Solomon says to cut the baby in two and give each mother a half. And the baby's real mother is deeply moved. She would rather the other woman take her baby than see her child die. And it's her compassion that reveals that she's the true mother. But rahum isn't just an emotional word. It also involves action. And surprisingly, the word is used most often to describe God's actions, motivated by his emotions. Like when the Israelites are suffering and oppressed in Egypt, God hears their cries and is compelled by his compassion, his rachamim, to rescue them. Then, as the Israelites travel through the dangerous wilderness, they're hungry and thirsty, and God is Rachum, caring for them as his own child. He provides everything they need: food, water, and clothing, as he personally guides them. So it's no surprise that when Yahweh reveals his character to the Israelites in the wilderness, he begins by saying he's compassionate. But despite Yahweh's continual rachamim, the Israelites turn away from him time and again. They reject Yahweh's compassion and instead give their allegiance to other gods. And rather than showing compassion to each other, they do violence. And their rebellion results in exile, and they're scattered among the nations. And it's in this dark moment in Israel's story that we come to the book of Isaiah, where Yahweh compares himself to a mother full of rachamim toward her baby. He says, "Can a mother forget her nursing child, or have no compassion or rachamim on the child of her womb? Even if she forgets, I will not forget you." God is full of motherly compassion, and he will rescue his people. And as you read further in Isaiah, you realize that God is going to do this by entering into the suffering of humanity. And this points forward to a time when Jesus comes on the scene. He is Yahweh's deep compassion become human. In Greek, the word compassion is oiktirmos. And as Jesus embraces the sick and cares for the outcast, he is deeply moved by human suffering. Jesus compares himself to a mother hen using her wings to shield her chicks from danger as he gathers people into his embrace. And in the ultimate expression of oiktirmos, Jesus is moved by compassion to enter into humanity's suffering, into death itself, to rescue and bring us near to God. And it's this same life of compassion that Jesus calls his followers to imitate, allowing ourselves to be moved by the pain of others, to embrace the hurting, and to participate in relieving suffering in the world. In this way, we too can embody the compassion of Yahweh, or in Jesus' words, be compassionate, just as your Father is compassionate. Now you can see how fitting it is that compassionate is the first word God uses to describe himself. So when we're in pain or see others suffering, we can be certain that God is deeply moved to respond and that he's there to meet us with his deep compassion.
Well, there are a number of key points in this, as I'm sure you've already determined, but they're so important, I really want to emphasize them here. Compassion is a feeling where we, in part, have empathy for another person, group, animal, or whatever on the planet. Empathy is where we feel and experience and understand the pain and suffering of another person, what they're experiencing. We're able to see as best we can what they're experiencing, standing in their shoes as best we can. But that's kind of where empathy ends. And empathy is good, but it stops there. Compassion includes empathy, but it's about action to relieve the suffering of others. It's action. You act on the empathy understandings that you have, take action to help the individual, animal, whatever it is, to relieve their suffering. Very important aspect of compassion. And compassion is crucial to living a wisdom-inspired life. Absolutely important. Because at the heart of wisdom is compassion and love. Compassion is something that is strongly emphasized as a theme in Buddhism, and love is strongly emphasized in the Christian tradition, as well as compassion. It's a small degree of emphasis, at least that I've experienced. Okay? Hopefully you've enjoyed this. It's helped you with a better understanding of a very important word that's part of living a wisdom-inspired life. And as usual, if you want to learn more, you can go to mywisdominspiredlife.com. There you can listen to the podcast, the Wisdom Inspired Life podcast. New episodes every Saturday and Sunday. There's a player there, but you can also listen to them on Apple, Google Play, Spotify, and wherever you listen to them. Well, as you know, I'm on a journey. I've got a mission. You can go look at the mission in one of the very early episodes of this channel. And I appreciate you being part of that journey today. And I look forward to continuing this journey with you.